Another Dooley Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Hello again, everybody, and I am wet. Got a little wetness coming in. There's a rare rainstorm in Gainesville, Florida. I'm sure it'll last all of 30 minutes. So, what an incredible weekend it is. You're watching Another Dooley Noted Podcast presented by Titan MRI. Of course, from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. As always, on Monday, Steve Spurrier will be our special guest. We'll have some fun stuff to talk to him about. On Friday, Kevin Carter will be here, and we're looking forward to that. Evan's back in the saddle today, but Reagan will be in the saddle for the Kevin Carter episode, and so I know he's a little nervous about that. But look, if you can survive Feinbaum, you can survive anything. So, we appreciate all our sponsors. We appreciate everybody who listens to this. In fact, Coach Spurrier was just telling me earlier that he ran into somebody and said, "Yeah, I listened to you on the podcast with Pat Dooley." I said, "Good." So people are listening. I know they're listening. That's good. All right, so let's start out today's show by talking about basketball, men's and women's. Obviously, that's the kind of the overwhelming story right now. The men's basketball game was kind of cool in a way, but I mentioned this out, that that when you looked at that game that Flan Fleming had, which is unbelievable, to score 27 points. And he had like 5 rebounds and 4 assists. He played a great game. And the amazing thing was they put the ball in his hands. And I'm thinking to myself, why can't he do that all the time? Well, his whole family's there, as we knew. He's from Athens. He caught holy hell for being from Athens and for celebrating Georgia's win. Gator fans don't like anything Georgia. It's just he doesn't understand that. He's not from here. He's from Athens. But then to come back and then had the foul on the three-point shooter that hurt him. But to come back and do what he did, amazing. And to play again a game where they just went through him offensively. They said, we're going to run a play to get you the ball, and then you go one-on-one. He had it going, so they kept it going. And it was amazing. So I give him credit for that, and I give the Gators credit. I mean, look, it was a resume protector. That's the bottom line. Resume protector. You can't lose that game. You lose that game, you are done. You are poop. That's what you are. You are a mustard stain on a white shirt if you lose that game. And that nobody, the rest of your games don't even matter unless you win the SEC tournament, which you're not going to do. Teams don't do what Georgia did that year, and I'm going to have a new segment. How about this? See, I'm always thinking ahead. I got a new segment. It's called Story Time with Pat Dooley. We're going to have fun with that one. And we'll get that sponsored, hopefully, eventually. But, when you go out and if you lose that game, the only thing it could be was negative. It wasn't going to be positive. They were happy. They came. I'm sure they had a great flight home, or they may have bust. Knowing how cheap Florida is with everything but football. I didn't say that. Did I say that out loud? No, I didn't say that out loud. Good. Obviously, now Florida's now number 51 in the net rankings, which didn't go up, obviously, when you beat a team that bad, even on the road. But it is, I will tell you the one thing that was good about that game and important about that game was that Florida got a third road win. And there are a lot of teams at 4, 5, 3 road wins. You need to have road wins because the NCAA committee usually looks at that. Now, in saying that, I will tell you this. The NCAA committee changes every year, basically. You don't know what they're looking at. One year to the next. This year we decided this was really important. The other year we decided that was really important. So you don't know. Look, the bottom line is, I've said this over and over. They can't lose to South Carolina. They need to beat South Carolina. And then they need to find a way to beat Kentucky. Kentucky is great. I think this conference has 6 teams that could win the whole thing. And I said this on the radio with Jeff Cardozo. I said, Jeff, I'll take the SEC against the rest of the field. Somebody in the SEC is going to win. I don't know who it's going to be, because it could be Tennessee. It could be Alabama. That's the way they're playing right now. It certainly could be Auburn and Kentucky, or Kentucky. It could be LSU. They finally got healthy. There is no telling who it could be. It could be Arkansas, which doesn't lose anymore. How about that team who's got more momentum going than anybody? So, but at any rate, Florida needs to win that Kentucky game. They need to win this game Tuesday night, 8:30. Then they need to beat Kentucky, and that'll be a tough thing. I mean, Kentucky doesn't play as well on the road as they do at home. I mean, who does? Nobody does. You know who does? Florida's women in basketball. They actually have a better road record, but they pooped the bed too. Senior day, get beat by Missouri. Probably knocked them down a notch as far as the NCAA tournament goes, although I don't think there's going to be that much of a difference. I think once you get past about the top 6 or 7 teams in women's basketball, from that point on, you're just playing a game and somebody's going to win. That's what it is. It's not like we're going to go on a run. We're going to do this. It doesn't work that way in women's basketball, unfortunately. But I'm curious whether there is one of two things, because Florida's women have lost 3 straight games. One of two things could be a factor. One could be, hey, they have not maybe they're tired. Don't forget, they lost who was arguably their best player on their team, Lavender Briggs, right before they went on this run. So that was another person off the roster, and they played their butts off. So maybe they've run out of gas a little bit. Or is it possible that because Kelly Ray Finley is being not only courted by other teams, but obviously by Florida, and I'm sure there are a lot of phone conversations and Zoom calls and conversations. Maybe she's gotten distracted. That's what Florida was trying to avoid. And I'm not saying either one of those things is true. It could just be that this is a team that played a lot of close games this year, a lot of close games, and they were able to pull them out for a while. And then, sometimes ball doesn't bounce your way. I mean, you have 28 turnovers again in the game they had Thursday night. Then Sunday you just didn't get it done. I mean, that's all there is to it. But I was looking down. So women are 43rd on the net rankings. They're going to get in the tournament. Look, there's no worry there, but you may want to win a couple of games. I mean, you're good enough. We know you're good enough to win games in the SEC tournament. But Florida's a 5 seed going into the tournament, and I think I have this written down somewhere, but we'll get to it later. Who they play? They play the winner of the, I think it's a 12-13 game. I think that's what it is. The bottom line is, they're in the tournament. They can improve their seed line by playing well in the SEC tournament. All right. We also have all this stuff going on that we had this weekend. Not some of it here, some of it not here. Softball is now 16-0, and with 2 top 20 wins. They came from behind to beat UCF. They have Southern Miss Wednesday, by the way. Florida does the Bubbly tournament. How about that? You want to be in the Bubbly tournament. 2 games Friday, 1 game Saturday, 2 games Sunday. And they're really just smacking the ball around. That was a great win over UCF. But as we know, it all is serious in a couple of weeks. And that's when it starts with the SEC. What you're doing, and this is the same thing Kevin O'Sullivan is doing, you're getting ready for conference play. And then during conference play, you want to win it, and you've got a goal, but you're also still trying to get ready for postseason. I mean, that's the different part. This is what basketball, baseball, softball teams, golf, everybody, pretty much this is where they're different than football. Football, you got to be ready to play first day. First game of the year may decide your entire season. All the other sports, you're like, God, all right, we want to let's do this, and then we can move on to there. Football is different that way. But baseball, of course, had a good weekend, winning all 3 games against Georgia State. They're now 6-2, 29-6 was the. I just said those words out like I had written them down. 29-6 was the score of those games, and it's pretty clear that Hunter Barco is really good. But I'm curious to see him against big time opposition. And 2 weekends, he'll get that against this weekend. This weekend they're playing Miami, so he'll be the Friday night guy at Miami. That'll be a huge indicator of what kind of season he is going to have. But kudos to the softball, though. By the way, Kendra Falby is now hitting .519. She's having an unbelievable year. They're hitting .367 as a team. And I looked this up because I was curious, because it seems like Florida always starts out great. But it's not because they don't play anybody. They play pretty good teams. They play, they usually go to the West Coast. They didn't do that this year. But they go to that tournament. They always face Michigan, it seems like. But I looked it up. The teams that won the national championship for Florida, remember those back-to-back teams, 22-0 they started, and then 28-0. This team, 16-0. So they're off to that kind of start. But then you get into the SEC play, and everything changes. So it just gets tougher, as we all know. All right, we got a lot of other things we want to talk about. I got a lot of cool things to talk about and all of our great things. In fact, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to have a new segment here, but we'll also have the Hesser and Kipke spreads of the week, Monday spreads, the Adams Rib Coated Go, Gator of the weekend. By the way, Friday, Adams Ribco to go. Karen brought it, had it for me. It was unbelievable. And Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks. 3 things presented by Hand Law. And Pat Dooley Story Time, which I'm going to see if we can't get that sponsored. I got a good story time. When we come back, though, we're going to take a break. When we come back, the greatest coach in the history of Florida football, and maybe in all of football, as far as I'm concerned, because I got to interview him. That made it great. It made it even greater. Steve Spurrier, as he always does on Monday, joins us. You're listening or watching Another Dooley Noted Podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Hi folks, Big Mill here bringing you the sandwich of the month for February. I know I'm a little late. It's been extra busy here in the store and out and about doing some events. This month we kept it a little simple. I joined the wars, the fried chicken sandwich wars, folks. We got in it. It's a fried chicken sandwich with pickles, Big Mill sauce on our wonderful, famous Martin's potato roll. It comes with fries, folks. Something a little bit different this month. Order it with fries. Come on down and see me at Big Mill's. It's street food dining at its finest.
Another Duly Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from Another Dooley Noted Podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Rib Coat to Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. to go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Another Dooley Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444. All right, welcome back to another Dooley Noted Podcast, of course, presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. And what could be better from the Meldon Law Studios than to announce that Meldon Law is now sponsoring Coach Spurrier's appearances here on Another Dooley Noted Podcast. And I heard when you were out on the Panhandle, you heard somebody said he listened to you on that.
Yeah, I tell you what, Pat, I was in Panama City. My grandson is getting married in Gainesville, and in about, I think about 2-3 months. But they had a dinner reception, engagement party, whatever you call it. Had about 75 people there. But anyway, some dude come up and said he was a Gator. He said, I listen to you on Dooley's podcast all the time. I said, really? I said, it's wonderful. So anyway, it was a nice trip out there to Panama City, and it's good to know we're out through the state and maybe even further. Who knows?
That's right.
Yeah.
It is. It's exciting, and it's certainly good. And as you know, I could talk to Coach Spurrier all day about a million things. And one thing I wanted to talk to you about is, sometimes coaches get distracted. I'm not saying this is happening with Kelly Ray Finley, okay? But there's a lot of people pulling at her because they want her to be the coach at Florida. They want her. Some other schools are pulling at her. I mean, how did you deal with that when you were – because you always were having teams that wanted to come at you from the NFL.
Oh, I handled it before I left, every now and then one team would call, and I would say, are you offering me the job right now? He said, no, I want you to come up here and interview. I said, I'm not going to come up and interview. That's like Jim Harbaugh. I hope I'm a little smarter to go interview when you got a job. But then for whatever reason, I thought it was time to leave, and I just resigned. And I had a couple of teams that were talking to me, so I chose the wrong one. But other than that, that's why I left. I thought I'd been here 12 years, and that's the longest anybody's ever been at Florida. But in hindsight, I wish I'd stayed another 7 or 8 if we'd kept winning. Of course, we finished third in the nation, and half the fans thought I had lost it because we hadn't won the SEC but once in the last 3 or 4 years. Now they realize finishing third, fourth, fifth in the nation is not all that bad.
But in the SEC, it'd be nice. That hadn't happened in a long time. I mean, it hadn't happened since what?
Urban's last 08, 6
yeah.
and 8, yeah. Yeah, our guys won 7 of them, and his won 2. Now, we've won some divisions since then, but have not captured the SEC championship.
Yeah, exactly. I know you've talked a lot to Billy Napier, and you're not like trying to step in and say, hey, you should do it this way. You should.
No.
But if he asks you for advice, you're giving it to him, right?
No, he doesn't ask for advice no more than any of the other coaches. No, I'm strictly in the background. I'm strictly like ambassador. I did a video trying to encourage all letter men and women to join the F Club, which is the Gator booster arm of former players. I did that today. Things like that. And do some of these podcasts with you and just try to promote Gator athletics. Gosh, that was a tough, our indoor track team.
I know.
Finishing second, men and women. Gosh, I went to sleep last night, and I said, we're going to win the women. The men, I think we were behind a little bit. But I be dang, even our women did not hold on to win it.
Well, that's what's amazing about you. And I found this out about you very early because I knew you were big into tennis. And you would go to the women's tennis, all
basketball.
Yeah, and I think where does that love, not just of football, but where does that love of sports? Does that come from just that, your dad and from that all the stuff you did as a kid?
Well, I'm a believer that football is for football players, and we all can be football players. It wouldn't be other players, and sometimes you can't even be athletes. You can be just real good students.
There's an evidence of it right here. Yeah.
God gives us all different talent, so find out what you can do well in life, and then try to be the best you can. But certainly, as a kid growing up, basketball and baseball, I was much better because there was nothing in football because nobody threw the ball much back in the 60s and so forth. But anyway, I thoroughly enjoy watching people compete. I enjoy watching all the women's sports also because they seem to really get into it. And, concerned a little bit about our women's basketball. We've not played as well as we were, 3 or 4 weeks ago. So maybe Kelly Ray needs to yell at them a little bit or do something or maybe put somebody on the bench. I know when we were struggling or a player or two struggling, put him on the bench, maybe just a half or something, and then bring him back. And it seems like our guys always played better after, maybe sitting on the bench a brief period of time.
And I think sometimes Gator fans get mad when guys don't sit on the bench. When somebody makes a mistake and they don't. But, I mean, you at one point, as the story goes, and I mean, you can tell me whether it's true or not, somebody threw a bad pass, and you said, can you make – I think you turned to Rex and said, can you make that throw? And we'll get in there and do it. And you ran the same play and got a completion on it.
Well, that was sort of Jesse was in there. I mean, we were playing one of those down-the-line teams, but we were down around the 15-yard line. We were in empty, and we were running, all 5 guys – down the open area of the 3D defense, and Jesse picked the wrong one. I said, Rex, can you see that the seam route on the right is wide open? He said, yes, sir. I said, well, go in there and hit it. So he went in there and hit it. And
that's beautiful.
So Jesse said, I better look for that seam route on the right. But they both played really well and sort of rotated, especially during the 2000 season when we won the SEC that year.
Yeah, when you look back on that 2000 season and the play in the end zone with Jabbar Gaffney, whether he caught it or not, it doesn't matter what the referee ruled. Do you think it would have held up with instant replay?
Probably not. No, you got to maintain possession a little bit more, usually in the end zone. But, back then the referee saw it, and he sort of put his hands up and turned away. And everybody said, wait a minute, he dropped it, ref. He didn't see it. So they talked it over, and he did have instant possession.
He did.
Sometimes they say if you got it instantly, you're okay. But who knows? But that 2000 team achieved a lot because that was not our strongest team here. But they won an SEC where some other teams were very strong, did not win one. And sometimes
the next one.
That's just the way it happens. In fact, I was reading the paper the other day about the Gainesville High men's soccer team. Went through the regular season undefeated, didn't lose.
Yeah.
And in the tournament, I think it was a region right before the state, they lost to a team that I think they'd beaten very easily, lost 2-1. And like Coach Benjamin, he said, we just had a bad game. We didn't play like we're capable, and the other team had a good game, and we got beat. That's sometimes that happens in life. I know, I've been there.
Well, that's the thing. There. People have bad days.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the difference. The one thing that I was just talking about with college football. College football, you have to get ready for your first game. And in college baseball, for example, or college softball, you go, let's ease into this. You can't ease into it in college. The college football is the only sport where you can't ease into it. You got to be ready on opening day, especially because a lot of them are playing tough teams, Florida and Utah this year. Yeah,
that's what you call practice. Practice to get ready to go. And you practice in baseball, basketball, you play against each other. So, I don't know about working your way in. The NFL is finally going to, 2 preseason games?
Right.
2 or 3, not more than
3,
that.
yeah.
And
But
they
one,
we had
so that means only 2.
Yeah, we had 6 when I first started in the late 60s.
You counted those, though, didn't you?
No, 6 games, it didn't count a lick. And then you only played 12. And I said, why do we do that? And they said, well, because the owners get all the money on the preseason games.
And the players don't get paid.
And then they cut down, and you guys get paid the next 12, which was really what they were doing. And then they finally went to 5, 4. I think they're down to about 3 preseason games now.
3 now, yeah.
So anyway, the players are certainly making a lot more than back in the old days.
Yeah, but that was the big. I mean, there was no point playing 4 games, preseason games.
No.
Can you imagine? Because I remember a long time ago, Vince Dooley suggested that there be spring games between teams. Could you imagine doing that, playing that like that?
Yeah, I heard him talk about that, but I don't like that. I don't, if it you play against a rival, it's got to count. It can't be, well, it's just a practice game. Yeah, if it's a practice game, then don't keep scoring. If you want to go scrimmage against somebody, and the NFL, they'll go scrimmage another team and, try to keep it. And then, of course, when they first started that, they were having fights all the time. Because some guys thought that made you look tough and mean if you start a fight. And so they still do that now, but they control it so much better. So if you need a little practice against another team, just go scrimmage. Don't have a real game and keep score.
Right.
Because I don't think that makes sense.
I meant to ask you this when we were talking about the play with Jabbar Gaffney, but did you ever get on Kwesi Green for dropping the ball as soon as he crossed the goal line? It would drive me crazy. He would drop it right as he crossed the goal line. I was like, and we've seen it since then. Players get recovered,
South Carolina kid did it this past year
he did.
Against somebody I forgot. I didn't get on him too bad. Hopefully learned from it. I think it was a game we beat Vandy 73-0, so it was hard to yell at him on that. But he learned from it and did not do it again.
What do you think about when you look around? You see all of the players that played for you that are in coaching.
Yeah.
I mean, Quez. I mean, obviously Mike Peterson, Cheston Blackshear on this staff here at Florida. I mean, they're all over the place. Everywhere you look, Robert Gillespie at Alabama. They're all. Does that make you proud?
They are. Yeah, they are. And players at other schools are doing it also. Pat, when I was in college or when I was even in the NFL, coaching was not a glamorous position. Right. And guys didn't make much at all. I mean, it was just, something to do. And then all of a sudden, it became former players, hey, man, if I can get a coaching gig, that's what I'd love to do. You get to keep competing, our team against their team, and And coaching is fun. You get to have a job that doesn't seem like a job, but it's fun to compete and do it as long as you can. So and that's what coaching. There's so many guys wanting to do it. It's tough getting a job now.
Right.
So it's if you got one, hang on to it. There's so many guys out there that, man, I wish I had a job right now. So it's tough to hang on to jobs.
What was the best thing about being a head football coach? I'm not saying what do you miss the most, but what was the best thing about being a head football coach?
I love the games. I love the games itself. I remember hearing some coaches say, boy, this head coaching is great if it weren't for the games. But the games were my favorite part, to tell you the truth. And, you try to teach your players to do things right. We graduated most all of our guys, and I think they all turned out pretty well. And we didn't have to kick off too many guys during my time. So hopefully you prepare the guys for the future. That's what it's all about. They get a degree and then move on from there. And it's neat that John Wooden used to say, if you've been a good coach 20 years later, your players will want to come back and hang out with you a little bit. So it's neat to see Bates and Morphle and, Mike Peterson and all the guys that I coached want to hang out occasionally with their former coaches.
What's amazing, too, is most of those guys are all my friends, still friends. Now it's not there. That relationship between the media and the players is different. It was back then. It was a big deal. Like if I wrote a story about Judd Davis, it was a big deal that it was in the paper. Now it's like, I don't know, what website was that on? So I think that has changed too, and maybe there's a little more distrust between players and media because they don't see it in the print as much.
Yeah, I don't know what head coach started not really talking to the media, but it became a fad. And do you still talk to them after practice? But you can't watch practice. Is that correct?
You get them
1 or 2 days.
You get them once. Really, you get them once in person, and you get them on the conference call. But back in your day, you were there every day. You would talk to the media
after
much.
Practice,
except Friday. Yeah,
whoever was around. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Were y'all there?
Yeah,
Thursday, maybe?
usually Thursday too. Yeah. It was. That was the glory days. We loved it with the media, but it's kind of changed with the way everybody looks at it and the way everybody responds to it. But that's the different. That's where the internet has totally changed everything.
Did you watch the golf tournament yesterday?
I watched a little bit of it. There wasn't anybody for me to root for. That was my problem.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting. They went on to say the guy that won it is from Austria, first Austrian.
He's a dog, though, isn't he?
And went to Georgia.
Yeah.
He's a Georgia Bulldog guy. Really nice guy. You can't help but like the guy. But Georgia, by far, has won more golf championships in the last, I think, 10 or 15 years than any other college.
I know.
I don't know.
Well, they got Berger. No, Berger's FSU.
He was FSU, but Kirk, the guy Kirk was there. And they got a bunch of them up there. The only two guys I saw were Billy Horschel and Brian Gay made the cut.
He did.
He was there. But
I talked to Billy Horschel today. He gave us a foursome at the Players Championship.
Billy Horschel?
For our golf tournament. So, and you guys are always.
Yeah, he's a super Gator. He plays Gator Golf Day. And
he's a volunteer coach now,
and Brian Gay, he's not too far away from the senior tour.
Yep.
So
well, I think
make the cut down there is pretty
what's funny?
Good.
I thought DeMarco would be like a player on the senior tour. I know he's tried it a little bit, but he's not playing much.
He hasn't won. I don't know if he's been in the top 5 or whatever, but he's still out there swinging at it. So hopefully he'll get it going. And
old Dudley now has got to be a coach, so he can't get out there. He's coaching the Florida men's.
Is he 50 yet?
He is 50.
He is 50. Okay. Well, I'm sure in the back of his mind he's got to give it a shot somewhere.
Yeah,
I would think.
I remember when you were around 50, people were going, "Have you thought about being on the seniors tour?" And I'm like, "Steve's really good. He's not that good."
No. You don't realize how good these guys are out there. And when I saw the list of all the guys that didn't make the cut. And, man, it's a tough deal playing that pro golf tour. You got to really be good and be good just about every week, it seems like.
All right, so we love having Coach Spurrier on here on Mondays. You're going to get out to, what I'm trying to think of what we have sports-wise. Baseball's out of town.
Yep.
Softball's in town. And, of course, the women will find out the SEC tournament for them. But it's just amazing around here, Stephen, that you can find something to do.
Kentucky basketball comes in.
Yep.
They always bring 4,000 or 5,000 Kentucky fans with them. So
that would be the good question for you.
Who's
going to have more Kentucky fans in this game or Auburn?
Auburn
played here because they had a lot of fans here.
Yeah. Well, I would think our Gator fans will fill it up, and Kentucky can only get 2,000 or 3,000, something like that. But time will tell. That's this Saturday, and then I guess the SEC tournament is next week after that.
So it's a lot going on here. I know that's one reason you love still living here in Gainesville. There's so much going on, high-level sports,
Yeah, a lot of former Gators are retiring in Gainesville.
Yeah.
And because they love the Gators and all the sports and so forth. And Gainesville's a pretty doggone good place to live. I think sometimes those people from up north, we wish they'd just keep on going south, but they're hanging around Ocala and Gainesville.
Yeah, they are.
They've learned this is one of the best places in the world to live.
I was sitting out on my back porch. My wife had made me this beautiful breakfast, and I was saying, what do I want to do? Go to women's basketball, the baseball game, or go play golf? I mean, up north, you're going, do I want to shovel the driveway? Do I want to scrape off the windows? Or do I want, I like where we live. We're doing well.
Doing well.
All right, Coach. Thanks again. We always love having Coach Spurrier on here on Another Dooley Noted Podcast presented by Titan MRI, presented by the Meldon Law Gator Studios, and Meldon Law now the official sponsor of Steve Spurrier's appearances here. We're happy about that. Thank you to Meldon Law, also a sponsor of the Bob Dooley Invitational. They are sponsoring everything, man. They are the community people. So we appreciate them. We'll be back with all of our fun stuff that we do in the third segment here on Another Dooley Noted Podcast. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from Another Dooley Noted Podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What would give you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Fight Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Hi folks, Big Mill here bringing you the sandwich of the month for February. I know I'm a little late. It's been extra busy here in the store and out and about doing some events. This month we kept it a little simple. I joined the wars, the fried chicken sandwich wars, folks. We got in it. It's a fried chicken sandwich with pickles, Big Mill sauce on our wonderful, famous Martin's potato roll. It comes with fries, folks. Something a little bit different this month. Order it with fries. Come on down and see me at Big Mills. It's street food dining at its finest.
Another Dooley Noted Podcast comes to you from the Coaches Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
All right, welcome back to another Dooley Noted Podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. It's been kind of a weird day. And again, anytime Coach Spurrier is here, it's not like you stop, you do the segment, you go to the next thing. He's talking and he's telling us other things and he's telling us other great stories. It's great. I got to be the luckiest guy in the world that has Steve Spurrier on every Monday on his podcast, and that will continue going forward. Now that they are sponsored by Meldon Law, which also sponsors our studios here, the Gator Studios. So we appreciate Meldon Law very much. It is time for us to go and do the thing that Voodoo, you do so well, the three things presented by Hand Law. Do you know that how you do your voodoo? Voodoo you do so well. I think it might have been in Blazing Saddles. I don't know. All right, three things is presented by Hand Law, Florida law firm, which helps clients with government. You can learn more about Hand Law by visiting its website at www.hand.law. The firm is available, and I'm going to do this with great gusto, for consultation in Jacksonville. See, that's what you get on Another Dooley Noted Podcast. You get great emphasis on people that we love, and we love Chris Hand to death. All right, number one. Lakers lost last night, and I'm like sitting there going, this is the best car wreck I've ever seen. It literally is. To watch what they have done, getting LeBron there and then trying to surround him with what they thought was right. Anthony Davis there, of course, injured all the time, but then Russell Westbrook there, who is just a cancer. He is. He's not even a cancer with his actions. Or not with the way he is with people. It's with his game. His game is cancerous. I'm telling you. I watched all those games with the Thunder because I love my man Billy Donovan, and I'm rooting hard for them. But that was amazing. So they lost. I don't know what I've even written down here. 28 to NDE. Oh, their record is right now 25-36. No, they lost. I'm sorry. If you're going to write things down, you should kind of keep track of them. They lost to a team that was 25-36, New Orleans, of course, which isn't very good. Zion, I guess, isn't playing and he doesn't want to play. I don't know what the deal is there. Anyway, that's way too much NBA talk. So let us go to number two. Number two, what a Saturday it was for college basketball. I will tell you, I vegged big time. I felt bad about it, but I vegged. I did some stuff. I got my wife's oil changed early, but the basketball was unbelievable all day, and 7 teams in the top 10 lose, including the top 6. Almost all of them on the road. I think the top 6 were on the road, and that included St. Mary's beating Gonzaga, which I tried to stay up for, and I got most of it, but I couldn't do it all. But it was an amazing. Now, I will say this. People will look at this and talk about parity in college basketball. No. You know what this is? This is teams getting tired, and they've been on the road for a lot of games, and then they go on the road for a game, and they go, is this really going to matter that much? And I know it's in the back of their minds. I'm not saying this means there's incredible parity in college basketball right now. I think it's just some teams are kind of they want to get to the tournament, and that's what's happening. But there were some amazing atmospheres as well, you know, wherever it was, whether it was Tennessee, whether it was Arkansas. And that, again, this is the weird thing about the NCAA tournament is, oh, my God, this is what an incredible atmosphere. Oh, they won, and they won that game. Yeah, you know what? You don't play any home games in the tournament, okay? Unless you're Dayton, I guess. And they may actually have a home game. Dayton may end up being in Dayton. So anyway, it was a fun weekend to watch college basketball. I'm into college basketball. I always get into it in a gradual way, like football, you know, is everything, and then I kind of let basketball into it, and then football finally kind of ends. And I'm not saying I'm one of these guys who goes, well, after the Super Bowl I have to start paying attention. No, I'm paying attention all the time, but I get into that football mode where I'm watching 10 games on a Saturday, and that's what I did this Saturday. It was beautiful. Finally, number 3 here on 3 Things presented by Hand Law. Derek Jeter lets go of his CEO post with the Florida Marlins after his sterling performance there so far, where they've been awful every year except the one year, the COVID year, they actually had a barely winning record, but other than that, nothing. So I think they were 31-29 in the 60-game season. Maybe it might have been a little better than that, but, you know, just because you're a great player, and he is a great player, doesn't mean you can make you work. Now, I got the impression, reading the story, that the reason he left, the reason he's out, is because he didn't like where they were going. Now, you never know. I don't worry about those kind of things. And let me tell you one thing. I don't worry about Derek Jeter. I hate the Yankees, A, and B, I think he'll be all right. But Derek Jeter out with the Marlins. So that is our 3 Things presented by Hand Law. Let us go to our Leonardo's at Millhopper quick picks. And you guys got some, I'm looking at all the people that got qualified. Michael, Scott Hart, Bob Julian, Andy McIntosh, Ryan, Wayne Fuller. There's some other people that got qualified for getting it right this week. So good job there. We're going to give you a pretty simple one here. And, okay. Boy, when I was writing all this stuff down, I must have been in some kind of coma or something. But, okay, how many wins do the Florida women get in the SEC tournament, okay? They play the winner of A&M Vandy. Now, as we know, Vandy just beat Florida. Then if they win that game, they play Ole Miss. And if they win that game, they play South Carolina. So I'm trying to give you a little educated thing here. But how many wins do they get in the tournament? They will play their first game Thursday, I believe. Yeah, Thursday. In fact, we're off the air Thursday and Friday for the radio show, which we will miss that. So but it's very simple. How many wins do they get in the tournament? That's it. 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3. I think 3 would be the max. I think 3 they win. No, wait. 1, 2, no, 4 would be the max. Okay. All right. Does everybody get that? I'm having a hard time today. I don't know what it is. I think it's the rain. Yeah, the rain it washed away all my brain cells. All right, it is time for our Adams Rib to go. Gator of the weekend. I had a lot of choices, as we know we will every weekend going forward here. And I went with Flanders Fleming. Look, what he did was amazing. And every time he let a shot go, it went in. Flanders has had a rough year. There's been a lot of bad things going on with him. And obviously, we go back to that whole thing with wearing the Georgia jersey and celebrating Georgia winning the national championship. Now, if you turn that around, and this would have been a great one to use in the story I did for the UF Alumni Magazine, but I didn't think about it. But it is perfect. Good. No, maybe it was for the Gators Wire thing, but it was good for you, bad for me. And it was basically if you're, let me say Jack Collinsworth, let's just say Jack Collinsworth, went to school, grew up in Gainesville, but went to Georgia, and when Florida won the national title, was celebrating on Instagram Florida's national title, everybody go, that's so sweet. He's still a Gator. I always thought the reaction was ridiculous. He had to issue this apology. He never should have issued an apology. You're celebrating a team you grew up watching. But at Florida, Georgia is taken seriously. You know that at the in the tennis complex, you're not allowed to wear a red shirt in there. Doesn't have to be a Georgia shirt. If it's a red shirt of any kind, you're not allowed in. So he had to deal with that. Then he fouled the three-point shooter and missed the jumper against Texas A&M. When it, to me, is still the loss that if Florida could get back might be the difference maker. He's had a rough year, and to have that kind of year in front of all his family and friends, again, you just have to mentally be tough enough to pretend they're all there again, right? Pretend all those Kentucky fans are your family. Remember the Florida-Georgia game when they were all there and they were rooting for you and they cheered for you? But most of the fans were rooting for the other team. Same deal. All those Kentucky fans that are rooting for Kentucky, pretend like they're rooting for you, Flan. Light them up. But he is our Adam's Ribco to Go Gator of the weekend. We appreciate our man Adam. In fact, I'm going to have lunch with him tomorrow. I could not buy him enough lunch. I should just say, here, have some more of this, whatever. Should be like one of those great Italian dinners, it's more sausage. Have some lasagna too. I should give him anything he wants. He's so great, and we appreciate him being a sponsor of Gator of the Weekend. We've had a lot of fun with that over the years. In fact, year plus a couple of months. Yeah. What episode is this, by the way? 123. God. What is wrong with me? All right. Where am I? That's right. Hesser and Kipke. There we go. Hesser and Kipke Monday spreads. Let's do that. Of course, we love Hesser and Kipke, double sponsors. This was the hardest thing maybe I've ever had to do. Ken Hesser, double sponsor of this podcast, sent me a text and said, I know probably what the answer is, but is there room for a foursome in the Bob? And I had to say, bro, I can't do it. I can't. Now, if somebody drops out, you're the first one in. But it's just, the tournament has just gotten to ridiculous. Crazy. All right. So the Hesser and Kepke Monday spreads, and hopefully he doesn't hold that against me, stays on with us, are brought to you by Hesser and Kipke, a law firm based in Hale Plantation specializing in employment, workers' comp, and family law. Visit their website at www.hklawfl.com. Or call Ken and Jennifer at 352-339-9920. We appreciate Ken and Jennifer, Hesser and Kipke for the Monday spreads, and, of course, as well as the games of the weekend. Boy, there's going to be some fun ones this weekend. We got a lot to talk about on Friday. By the way, Friday, Kevin Carter's our guest. Fired up about that. I think Reagan's a little nervous because he's going to be handling the show Friday, but he'll be all right. There are a lot of games to watch tonight. I got to admit. I was like going, well, I don't know how much is going to be going on tonight, but there's a lot going on. The Monday spread, Syracuse is getting 8.5 points at North Carolina. Well, this is significant for one reason, and that is North Carolina is kind of a bubble team. And if you're a Florida fan and you're going to pay attention to that stuff, and the bottom line is Florida's got to beat somebody. They still have to beat one more team. One more team. Kentucky, great. If it's Kentucky, fine. If it's Tennessee in the tournament, that they need somebody. They need to beat somebody. But you're still looking at all this stuff. North Carolina is a bubble team right now. They are an 8.5-point favorite at home. Northwestern is a 10.5-point favorite at Iowa. I'm sorry, underdog. Sure, Ken had a heart attack there because he knows how good Iowa is. Iowa's a weird team. They haven't really beaten anybody, but their net ranking is ridiculously high. So, keep an eye on that game. Baylor, this is probably the game of the night. Baylor is a 1.5-point favorite over at Texas. And Texas, of course, Chris Beard, who we've seen many times play against or coach against Florida. That'll be clearly the best game of the night. The Big 12, I will say this, the Big 12 and the SEC are the only things worth watching. Now, I know there are other leagues and playing important basketball, but those are the games that I get excited about. Mostly the SEC. The SEC with this weekend was ridiculous. It was so much fun to watch. But the Big 12 was right there, and they're going to be right there with exciting games, fun games, great level of basketball ability. Kansas State is a 12.5-point underdog at Texas Tech. And Kansas State's one of those teams that can be sneaky good, so we'll watch that game. Another game, San Diego State is a 1.5-point favorite at Wyoming. Wyoming, 23-5. Larry Scheidt's proud of those boys. And UCLA is an 8.5-point favorite at Washington. UCLA is a good team. Washington's not. All right, so those are the Monday spreads brought to you by Hesser and Kipke, and we appreciate them for everything they do, and we'll keep that going. Let us go to the final thing today, and this is a new segment that we're going to try to do, and we'll see if we can't get a sponsor lined up for it. It is called Story Time with Pat Dooley. Today, can we get like a little kerchief? And yeah, we have to do something like that. Today I want to tell you the story about 2005 Florida basketball team and what they did up in Atlanta. So they are playing in the SEC tournament, and as they get to the final, they're going to play Kentucky. And as I'm walking out with my good friend Steve Hummer, there is a line to get tickets, student tickets. It goes forever, Kentucky student tickets. And right next to it, there's a line of Florida tickets, student ticket holders. There's 3 people in the line. So I stopped and I grabbed a phone and I said, cell phone. And I grabbed the phone and I called my boss. I go, hey, I need to get this line in my column. This is what Florida's facing tomorrow. It's going to be a monsoon of Kentucky fans. It's ridiculous. So they got it in. And that was kind of cool. And I was like, man, I'm sure we know what's coming tomorrow. And then that day came. The game's going. And here comes that Kentucky run. You've seen them a million times. And that Kentucky run is just enveloping the Florida players and all the – there aren't Florida fans there, but Florida players are getting enveloped in it all. Then all of a sudden, Matt Walsh hits a 3. And he hits another 3. And then David Lee gets every freaking rebound. And he hits another 3. Next thing you know, Florida rolls and wins their first ever SEC championship. And after the game, I'm kind of out in the – I love those moments of being out on the court, kind of celebrating with it. You're not really celebrating with the team. You're just observing and writing stuff down. But you are allowed to be out there. It is the coolest thing when you're celebrating. I was there for the same way for the national championships. And I said, I need to talk to is Jeremy Foley. So I started looking for him. And I saw him walking back in the Georgia Dome, back to the back, and I chased him down. I said, Jeremy, I just need one quote. And he turned around, and he was crying. And I said, no quote necessary. That's Story Time with Pat Dooley. That's the kind of great stuff you're going to get every time here on Story Time with Pat Dooley. I know you want to be a sponsor. Just give me a call or send me an email. I'll be happy to do it. We appreciate Coach Spurrier being on. Evan, back in the saddle, did a great job. We'll have Reagan on Friday, who will be handling the Kevin Carter interview, which I'm sure he'll do a great job with. And we look forward to Kevin on the show on Friday. Until next time, I am Pat Dooley, and I am deep. I am way back, and I am out of here.